Hello and welcome to Retro Reviews, my channel where I review my favorite retro video games of all time as well as some modern releases I have recently finished. Today I want to talk about Sony and specifically about their presentations that they've had recently, their state of play addresses that they have, and how they really need to step it up. Now I'm not saying this from like a exclusives perspective or games in general. They have been putting out some great games over the years and they have several in development as well. But I want to talk about their state of play specifically because they have been severely outclassed by Microsoft and Nintendo specifically, and other developers too at like the Summer Games Fest. They are at the bottom of the totem pole at this moment. Now, this isn't to say that they need to change a whole lot. They just need to make their presentations better for building up hype for their projects. We know right now that they have projects in development from like Sony Santa Monica developing a new game that's not God of War. They've got Housemarque, the Returnal devs that are working on a new IP as well. You've got the Sucker Punch games working on something right now. We have a lot in the works, but we just haven't seen anything. So much so that the biggest announcement from the State of Play was the new Astrobot game, which is a celebration of like all of their franchises that they have. It's great that they're doing stuff like that. I'm really excited about the Astrobot game. I am excited about the Silent Hill 2 remake as well, and a couple other things, but they're not first-party games that are coming to mind. Microsoft came out the gates with several of their big hitter franchises making appearance at their showcase. They had a game from Rare with Perfect Dark. They had Gears of War. They had also State of Decay, and several other ones that were coming from their first-party devs or from their like second-party stuff, people that are really closely associated with Microsoft. Sony just didn't have a whole lot to show this time around. Now, I'm a big advocate of not showing a game too early. I don't want it to get super excited about a game and then have to wait 7 years to hear back from it. Looking specifically at Metroid Prime 4 here. Announcing a game too early can really kill the hype for it. On the other hand, announcing a game too close to its release date can do a lot to hinder its progress as well. Hi-Fi Rush got shadow dropped even though it was a fantastic title. It maybe could have done better, even though it did well, could have done better with some more marketing leading up to it, but no one even knew the game existed until it just dropped. Sometimes that's an effective strategy, but I think in this case it could have worked out better if it had some marketing behind it. So I would love to see Sony take a page out of Microsoft and Nintendo's book here. Nintendo especially does their own showcase so well. Microsoft still does stuff with like Summer Games Fest, and they're just trying to have their own presentations that they have. I think that's kind of where we're going toward, the big three having their own presentations. Nintendo probably does it the best with their presentation. Sony is definitely the worst, at the bottom of the poll now, with Microsoft doing a very good job, rivaling Nintendo in terms of quality for their announcements. So I'd love to see Sony just start talking about the games they have in development, or at least giving us something more. I don't mind if they have some gaps in between their spaces. They've put out a ton of good titles for the PlayStation 5. Despite them not having a ton of exclusives right now, the reason that they don't have exclusive games is that they were a console exclusive and then they got ported over to PC or another platform, but they have a ton of games that you can only find on the PlayStation 5 or PlayStation 4. So I hate saying they don't have exclusives because technically they do. They're just cross-generational. Now that's not my favorite thing, but they have the God of Wars. They have the Horizon Zero Dawns. They have those franchises that are really kicking it really hard. Same with like The Last of Us, got a upgraded remaster on the PlayStation 5. Not one I'm going to buy because I already have on the PlayStation 3 and the PlayStation 4, but that's introducing that game to a new audience. So they're doing a good job. We know that they've got the Wolverine game in development as well, as and also probably a reported like Venom game, like a side game for the Spider-Man titles, kind of like how Miles Morales was a kind of in-between sequel. I've heard that they're going to be doing something with Venom as well. That's great. We just want to see some more things. We just haven't seen a whole lot. So the next State of Play, I think, really needs to kill it. I can only think of one State of Play that Sony really knocked it out of the park. And that was the one where they had Final Fantasy 16 and Final Fantasy 7 Part 2. The remake Part 2 at the same showcase. They had several other great announcements. I remember getting really excited. That was a great showcase. But everything else, honestly, has been really underwhelming. And we need to see more. We just need Sony to step it up in that regard. Because right now, in terms of presentations, they're falling behind. I don't think that's bad for their brand. They have they're outselling the Xbox like pretty much 2-1 at this point. They have a foothold in the next generation run, but they're going to start falling behind if Microsoft starts catching up here, like they're planning on doing. With a ton of games coming to Xbox and Game Pass specifically, people are going to start looking over to get an Xbox. Or people that have not adopted a PlayStation 5, like PlayStation 4 owners, might say, you know what, there's not a whole lot of exclusives on the PS5, but it looks like there's a lot coming to the Xbox. They might jump ship. This is the way to do it. Xbox is doing a really good job. I like that they're all supporting some of their other stuff over, like Doom, The Dark Ages, I believe is what it's called, is coming to PlayStation 5 as well. I like that they're still having some of their properties come over, mostly because, they're avoiding the monopoly conversation and everything. But I would like to see Sony do some more to kind of bring their people that haven't adopted the next generation over, and to make the people that have adopted the new generation more happy, because I would really like to see more console exclusive games, or I guess specifically generation exclusive games, so we have more reason to have these consoles. So that's kind of what I want to talk about today. I just would really like to see Sony step up their state of plays and make them more in line with what Microsoft and Nintendo have done, because their presentations were out of this world. They kind of set a new bar, especially with Nintendo coming in at the end of their console generation here, the console life cycle here with the Switch. They came out really swinging. Most of us expected a pretty good presentation, ended up being fantastic, one of the best directs of all time. So Sony really needs to step it up. Middle of generation, you should have plenty of stuff in the works right now. Show us some games and give us something to be excited about. That's what I want to talk about today. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.